I do only got about 5.5 minutes left on the Zoom, so I threw Benavidez Beterbiev at you last week, right? This week's
Mm.
winner, I throw another matchup your way. Jaron Ennis is the IBF welterweight champ. He's not
Hmm.
there's not a lot at welterweight. He's not getting play at welterweight anyways with what is there. What about
Mm.
moving up as the IBF champ to fight the IBF champ at super welterweight, where all the big money fights are at? I, a lot of people like me have believed Ennis is this potentially great talent, a talent that jumps off the screen when you watch him. Murtazaliev would let us know if that talent's for real, and I would like to find out. I think it's time to find out. What do you think of that fight?
I think that's a great opportunity for both fighters. You're right. At 47, is Ennis going to be a star anytime soon with the competition that he has available to him and the platform that he could potentially fight on? I don't think so. We know that the Terrence Crawford fight is the biggest of the big fight for him and the one that we would all be most interested in seeing. So even though this is a title fight that you suggest with Bahkram, it is really kind of like a gatekeeper situation. And if Bahkram is able to defeat an Ennis who's coming up in weight, who I think would be moving kind of quickly, given that he hasn't had the kind of test that I think would be necessary to not only move up in weight, but immediately face a champion, the cards, as I like to say, might be in Bakram's deck. So it's something. If Ennis can overcome those two hurdles, face a world champion first time in that division, not having had that level of competition before, and climb the weight class. Okay, that makes me say, well, Bud, this guy's making a case.
Yeah.
I get why he is demanding this fight now. He's said something that he's backed up. And for Bakram's case, like, let him know that this Zoo thing wasn't a fluke, that he didn't just win off the back of Fundora, that it wasn't a good punch that Zoo never recovered from, but that he can take down different style fighters and he can be a star himself. And then maybe that sets up the Crawford fight, which would be way more interesting after a potential defeat of Ennis than it would be right now. And I think in both of these weight classes, to be real, it's tough to make like major fights because we don't have major stars that draw major attention to face off of each other. So they've got to start making this happen with great fights. I think we might have taken the first step towards, like you said, finding another star. And we're not ready to write Zoo off. Maybe the real fight is, I don't say the real fight, but maybe the better fight for Ennis is Zoo. Maybe Ennis steps up, faces Zoo, he gets past Zoo, then looks at Bahkram, he gets past that. Terrence Crawford has to find something else to do in the meantime. And then we really got, a legitimate Crawford Ennis fight at 54. I'm willing to wait for that. I'm willing to wait for that. I know that in this current climate of Saudi and titles just, being challenged for and fights being made, that we're getting a little uh, now, if not greedy, we're certainly getting a little spoiled, which we deserve to be a little spoiled. But at the same time, I don't mind watching a fighter progress reasonably. I
Yeah.
know I'm not looking for no, layover fights and no lay down sallies. I'm looking for good, solid competition, but I don't mind waiting 2 fights to really see what he's got and to get the best Ennis facing Crawford. Not a novice Ennis, not a guy who could have taken one more fight at that weight so he knows how to train for a Crawford. I want to see the best. When it does come to the big matchup, I want to see both guys at their best and in the best position to win. So that's what that takes.
I think that's all fair, 100%. I think that's all. I'm happy you said all that to provide the context. But a couple things is that, and I'll wrap it up quickly, but Ennis is not a guy that we've prognosticated as good or really good. We've prognosticated this guy might be special. To bypass a tune-up at 54 and go straight to this killer who just did what he did to Tim Zoo and beat him in your first fight at 54, that would be special. And 30 is coming quick. And Ennis's career has been mismanaged. He should have been in some significant fights at this point in his career already, but he hasn't. And, he hasn't. So it's like, we got to get to it, man. Like, I think ideally he'd have
Hmm.
already had a process to be more ready for a Murtazaliev fight, but he's been fighting once or twice a year against competition. He's fighting Zhukajan in a rematch no one wants to see. So unfortunately, it's almost like we got to get to it. And again, you're not a guy that we've thought he could be a future world champion. He could be, no, this is a guy that we watch and we're like, he could be as talented, just gifts wise, as anybody in the game. Man, let's get to it. Let's see it. And so that's
Let's
the fan
get
in
to
me,
it.
not the the objective. Like that's me. Like I just want to see some smoke Ennis's way already. It's long overdue.
The
That's it.
name of this show today is "Let's Get to It." You know what I mean? Like I like that. That's what we want everybody to do in between this show and the next one. Get the fuck to it. Let's go. Agreed. I'm sold. Hey, let's go.